Who gon' take it there? 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 Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air. 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 It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility.
All right, so Theo Von and Matt McCusker, who is an associate of Shane Gillis's, did a podcast together, and I normally wouldn't have said anything about it because I've mentioned Theo Von a couple times recently, but in this one they got off on an interesting subject that I don't talk about very much, which is X or Twitter's algorithm and how that has changed since Elon Musk has taken over, which obviously it's been several years at this point, and it's pretty well understood to be like a right-wing platform. It's very popular amongst people who lean in that direction, as well as still maintaining some of the cultural relevance that it had when it was still Twitter. And you hear complaining every now and then from people talking about themselves getting censored. Everybody still thinks that they're censored and suppressed, and there's still plenty of censorship over keywords or whatever that happens on Twitter because it's a necessary part of running a platform. But what's interesting that Matt and Theo talk about here is how not only has it become kind of an alarmingly right-wing platform to the point where you're getting like white supremacist propaganda on your feed, but also just unhinged, and you're seeing all kinds of crazy shit. So this is interesting for me because I still do scroll Twitter, even though I'm not too active on there. And it's funny to me because I know what these guys are saying and talking about, but I don't experience quite anything like what they are referring to. So here's Matt McCusker and Theo Von talking about being on X.
Watch like videos too of like all the bad stuff that happened. You get an email of like a 14-year-old got shot up in a deli last night. It's just lively. It's like the video. It's like, I don't know, why do they make them watch that stuff?
Dude, well, Twitter makes us all watch all that.
Yeah, true.
It's like, dude,
true.
I'm not a cop. That's what I'm going to start fucking replying to some of these Twitter feeds.
Send this to the authorities.
I wake up in the middle of the night, for some reason, turn on my phone. Next thing I'm seeing 7 people get massacred outside of some outside of like a car dealership in outside of Tijuana or something. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What portal of hell did I just take myself to?
Dude, X is crazy now. I remember I remember when it was Twitter, it was like there's too much censorship, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like let me see the real shit. Now I'm kind of like, yeah, let's censor this heavily again. I can't even go on X anymore. I get all like race baiting, kind of like race war propaganda, where it's like, can you believe it's just nonstop.
Huh?
You watch it and you're like,
you get the race war propaganda?
Yeah, dude. I get like lots of like, I get a lot of like white supremacy stuff. Yeah, I swear to God, I don't like or share.
They want you back. They know you have a black wife. They want you back.
They want me, man. They're trying to break me out of that. But it's just like, yeah, it's rough. I'll be like watching, trying to scroll next to my wife, and it'll be like a guy screams the N-word. I'm like, oh, what was that? I'm like, some fucking video. I'm going back to Instagram. It's just a guy screaming the N-word again. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, my X feed's just completely bonkers.
Dude, Elon should do better than that. He should want better than that for society, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of smut. It's just trash.
Yeah.
It feels like trash, honestly.
Yeah.
I think there was a spot where it felt like, I guess there's still some good video and stuff on there. I'll see like some good political stuff on there. But I do feel like outside of that, it's losing. I feel like it's kind of starting to lose its vibe.
I think so. Then you read the news. It's like it's now valued at $90 trillion, and like why is this worth so much money now? I don't know. Maybe if you do flood it with porn and like violence, it does make $1 bazillion. So good business wise, you might be crushing it. But I've stepped off of X.
Yeah,
I can't. I just can't watch it. It's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to bed. I'm trying to drown myself to sleep.
I'm trying to have a decent life. Fucking killing animals in my backyard.
All right, so just for some context, Matt McCusker, like I said, is a friend of Shane Gillis's. They do a podcast together. So he's acquainted with the kind of anti-woke thought process of like, some of it's a little crazy, the cancel culture. He's pretty casual usually in his approach to those type of subjects, and I don't take him to be like a hard right type of dude. But in what I've heard from him talking politics, he sort of leans to the right. I'd put him maybe a little bit more left-leaning than say Theo Von, but still pretty much in the camp with a lot of these guys. And it's always interesting to me to see a little bit of self-awareness about things like, hey, I'm on X and I'm getting fed white supremacist propaganda. What's that all about? It's interesting to me because I always try to figure out where exactly do they put that in their like worldview, their mosaic of what's going on. Because for me, obviously, I know that Elon Musk is pushing right-wing propaganda to people. I recognize it when I see it, much like Matt McCusker, and credit to him for being able to recognize that and also calling it out as a problem, because even among some of these sort of casual right-leaning types, you don't see a lot of that. It just makes me wonder, obviously there's a sense of conscious like, maybe I got to get off of this platform. He says he has a wife that's black and, you know, it makes him look kind of weird sometimes. But it's also like, okay, that was always the project. And I get that not everybody's on the same page. A lot of people got really pulled into the idea that the left went too far in general with their critique of everything, of capitalism, white supremacy, racism, all of it. And so a lot of people rejected in general, kind of shut their brains off to what the left has been very clearly pointing out about Trump, about Elon Musk for years. And I think that the left has even backed off a little bit in constantly reminding people that Trump is Nazi-esque. Elon Musk is extremely Nazi-esque, in some cases just literally openly praising Nazis or Sieg Heiling. And you do see awareness of that type of stuff from these comedian guys. They talk about it. They talked about that Sieg Heil when it happened. A lot of them didn't cover for it. And we're like, yeah, that was fucking crazy. I think I remember hearing something like that on the Matt and Shane podcast. And I think this stuff about X and the algorithm there is kind of the elephant in the room at the moment. I hear Rogan talking about X as well. And so to hear McCusker talking about how it's openly pushing white supremacist stuff to him is kind of crazy. Because again, we all know this about X, but he's also saying this from a perspective of like a pretty normal guy. He's probably engaging with some right-wing content. There's something that he's liking or engaging with that is telling the algorithm to serve him stuff like that. But also they definitely have deliberately designed the algorithm to show you more stuff like that faster if it feels like that's what you're interested in. And so me personally, on my feed, I've been using Twitter for several years and have continued using the timeline while Elon has owned it. So it pretty much knows what I'm interested in and not interested in. But at the same time, it does make an attempt every now and then, like Elon Musk will pop up on the timeline or something that's a little right-leaning. And they've definitely made an attempt to make it push more right-wing framing more often and try to frame most conversations that way. And there's a lot of research coming out now that has very deliberately been done, and the algorithm has been designed in a way that very specifically will move people to the right, especially if they're unsuspecting, they're not really thinking about it. It will show you this race war stuff and this white supremacy stuff and try to push you in that direction. And what happens is people who are inclined to be into that sort of thing, so somebody who's not like Matt McCusker, but somebody who is more motivationally aligned with what they are being shown in some of these, you know, propaganda pieces, those people become very convinced of the reality of these like race war premises that are being pushed through X and through ads and stuff like that. And so it just becomes this loop where they are unable to detach themselves from that vortex, and they become more and more radicalized. And it's much different from anything that you saw happening on the left while, you know, people who are liberals or whatever own these platforms. And I think there is radicalization that happens on both ends. You can see how people get themselves wrapped up into narratives that don't make a lot of sense. And I have always said that the way these platforms are designed is just kind of all to waste time. It's all just endless threads and stuff like that. And I think Elon's project was to just fill that with more right-wing bullshit. And that has resulted in a lot of these brainless podcasters just repeating more and more right-wing bullshit, fogging up the discourse. And so that's where we're at with it. I think everybody is kind of a reflection of who they're around, and people's political beliefs, especially what they're willing to publicly say, is a reflection of who they're around and what they feel comfortable saying. And it sort of works in both directions. So if you're around people who aren't comfortable with racism or bigotry of any kind and are sort of geared to oppose that type of thing, then you might be a little overly self-conscious about saying something that might seem like that. Any breaking from that type of political tone could cause social friction. And it goes the same in the other direction towards the right, where a lot of these people have accepted this reality of the left being sort of, I don't know, a burden on society, or they're just always lying. All of the anti-Trump narratives were lies. All of the anti-capitalist narratives are lies. And so a lot of people accepted that as their new center of gravity because they wanted to find themselves in something that feels like a center. And in doing that, most of these are people that are surrounded by mostly right-leaning people. So now they're in this bubble where they don't want to say anything that comes off as breaking too much from the current right-wing drift that America is seeing. And so I think a lot of people in this comedy sphere are finding themselves in that world where it's like they are starting to break from the right-wing stuff a little bit. Some of them are a little sheepish about it. Some of them are not willing to admit it or doing it because they kind of feel which way the wind is blowing. But in all cases, you get this sense that they're moving very delicately. And the reason is because there's genuinely people in these right-wing circles who get kind of psychotic about this stuff. And even somebody like Joe Rogan, he'll go off on a crazy rant. And he did it to Steve-O, he's done it to Theo a little bit, where it's like he's pushing back pretty aggressively when he feels like the anti-left perspective is not being adequately voiced in any conversation, especially when Trump is being talked about, because he's willing to criticize Trump. Well, I don't understand why he's doing this war stuff, blah, blah, blah. But specifically in the case of Rogan, he always has to reinforce the anti-left perspective, why Trump came to power in the first place, why the anti-woke stuff got us here in the first place, why the vaccine stuff got us here in the first place. That's always the type of argument that Rogan's going to make, and I think that that is a larger social structure that's happening in a lot of communities where those type of justifications still exist to push back on people who are starting to feel like the pendulum might have swung too far to the right. And it's really interesting now to see all of these commentators taking different tacks when it comes to talking about Trump, and especially with the war going on. Some have gone hard against Trump. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones even have all pretty much changed their tune on Trump in the final days before the quote-unquote ceasefire happened in Iran. So they were all going pretty hard on him about that, either because they felt like it was at a point where it was indefensible and they could no longer do that on their platform, or they were under enough pressure from their audiences that they didn't feel like they could do that on their platform and that they would get crushed. So probably some combination of both. But I'm not convinced that the backlash these guys are getting on the war is enough that it's forcing them to switch positions. Maybe on the Epstein stuff. I think the base was genuinely riled about that, at least the portion of the base that's engaging with these online conversations. That's an important aspect of this too, because a huge amount of them are just watching cable and Newsmax or whatever. So now Trump has gone off on them, calling them all low IQ and calling them out by name. So it was this emerging trend of some of these more far-right MAGA influencers turning on Trump, and after Trump got this so-called ceasefire, he then took that as an opportunity to say, oh, these people are low IQ and they're against MAGA and they were never with me, disloyal, etc., etc. So then they're all offering their responses, and to the extent that it's ever been true, this is the shattering of the MAGA coalition. Not so much the base yet. We don't have any indications that this is a shattering of the MAGA base, but certainly the figures that we have come to associate with it. So here's a couple clips of what Alex Jones, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes are currently saying about Trump.
I'm just going to scorch earth Trump to get him back on track. Only way to do it is to go after him viciously. You've already shed all over me. And if you try to rub it in, I just, at that point, I don't care anymore. So if you think I've been coming after you, if you think that I'm trying to get clicks by attacking you so the Democrats that don't buy anything from me and don't like me want to put me in jail, if you think I've been on your ass, say one more thing out of your mouth. And Laura Loomer, send him this, okay? One more thing. When I've gone through hell back in your ass because you were the lesser of two evils, then I'm going to show you how the cow ate the cabbage. Do one more thing. You should be kissing my ass. But instead, you shed all over me and rub it in. I'm not looking for a fight, but if you want one, you came to the right place.
Because MAGA is no longer commanded by you, and you know it. You know it. You belong to the Epstein class. That is your legacy now. People will see your name on buildings, whatever was agreed upon in those boardrooms, Jared Kushner, Trump, Gaza, hotel, whatever you tweeted, so crass. They will see that. You will earn that. And then when they see it, they will think about how many children had to die or be raped by men on islands so that you could stick the Trump name upon a building.
But the president has had enough of Tucker shit. And yeah, I'm just going to admit it. I sent the president Tucker Carlson's clips so he can see the shit that he says about him. I do. And I want that motherfucker Tucker Carlson to know that I'm the one who knifed him from the front. I want him to know. I'm not talking about physical violence, physical knifing.
Why are people loyal to Trump? Why would you be loyal to Trump? Do you not see who this person is? Trump is not a loyal person. He isn't and never has been, ever. Hello? He is not the savior of Western civilization. He's not God. He's not your boss. He's not your dad. He's a politician. He's a billionaire. He is a billionaire. He is a politician. And this extraordinary movement that he has built, historic as it is, and maybe at one point had noble intentions, always was there to enrich and benefit him.
All right, so pretty apocalyptic as far as all these people's reputations goes. Now, you hear Alex Jones saying, I'm going scorched earth on Trump because this is the only way to get through to him. And I think a lot of them are taking that tactic, including Tucker. Tucker is reacting to the fact that he is now more directly in the scope of the administration, rather than somebody who's criticizing him from the outside, not really being heard, but still kind of at the table. So now, because Tucker has gotten increasingly critical, it's caused the dam to break where he's going after everybody, even Megyn Kelly, because these are all the people who have strongly opposed him on the war. So now the question is, what is going to happen with these guys and what's going to happen with Trump's base? The data still seems to show that Trump's support is rock solid as ever. Very important to note that that has always been the trend. No matter what was happening or how much it seemed like Trump's base was fracturing or getting bored or couldn't defend him on a certain issue, the support always remains rock solid. So if that continues to be true, what that means is these guys are going to be up shit's creek without a paddle, and the cultural conversation will change, but the administration's ability to continue wreaking havoc, going to war, doing different things on behalf of Israel, terrible domestic policy, all of it, none of that will change because the base will still be behind Trump. So we are already in the midst of that cultural change in conversation, but the truth is that's fickle. It was always fickle. It's the reason why it coalesced around Trump in the first place in 2024. That wasn't inevitable. These things change quickly. And so the conversation's changing again. That's why it really doesn't take much merit on the part of these commentators to see that, to notice that. Really, they're just noticing that there's fun and interesting things to say now on this anti-war perspective. That's just the place to go in terms of rhetoric. And it's what people are enjoying, people are wanting to hear, and it's possible that they will pick up credibility with audiences that are anti-Trump by doing this crusade against him. I don't think so. I don't want to contribute to that at all. I don't think any of these people deserves any credibility after that. If they hurt Trump and his credibility and his viability, that's great. And that goes at least an increment of a way towards having some redeeming qualities. But just being willing to rhetorically go against him is not enough, because maybe it'll put you on the outs with him, maybe it won't. He's gone back and forth with people like this all the time. Steve Bannon famously got kicked out for being a fat slob or something like that, and then got a pardon from him. So that is a likely path for a lot of these guys, because if they can find a way to continue saying, well, we have to support the president because of blah, 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 then they're going to do it. And it seems like there's enough narrative obstacles in the way of that now, like Epstein, like the Iran war, like Trump's subservience to Israel. All of those things are really getting in the way of people just being like, just trust Trump. Trump's great. Everything's great around Trump. So I don't think that's going to hurt the base. If anything, it's hurting people like Tucker standing in the base. MAGA is now upset at Tucker and turning on him before they turn on Trump, which is kind of obvious if you think about it. But it doesn't mean that this isn't going to cause some huge ripples, and I think it's going to. And I think that over time, we will see a change in the layout of the base. But if the base doesn't go along with this and sticks behind Trump, then these guys are just going to have nowhere to go. They don't have enough support outside of the MAGA base to sustain any type of like real movement beyond whatever it is they're doing right now.
When it comes to Kanye, I'm not seeing any reason to think that his beliefs have shifted even a tiny inch, but it's possible that he's back on this medication that's making him feel like it's less worth it to be the one dedicating his life to Hitler and going and Sieg Heiling and Nazi insignias and all the shit that he was doing.